not sure what kind of crystalline stone this is. It's a heart, of course, and it's broken in half, broken in two. A broken heart. Vessel. This has been out here for quite a long time. I'm actually in one of my special, very special circles with the pyramid behind me, which you can see there. Grand spaciousness before me. So in a way, this vessel is meant to be able to have things pour into it. Pour out of it. So this broken heart, I just discovered this, by the way, it sits upon that vessel, doesn't allow anything to come out of it or anything to go into it. Hello. Of course, who shows up? Okay, I'll just, all right. Beauty likes to be loved. So does Hanta. So let's say that this... Actually, Beauty has a heart right on her front here. Can you see that heart? So, let's say that this... a person... they have this broken heart. And it's a story in their soul, that broken heart. Yeah. It makes them behave in a certain way. Maybe it's part of the story. It can make them shut this vessel that they are, that should be open to receive and open to give. But it closes it off. And so, let's say this person comes to me. They want me to help them. And what they really want is they want to be able to have more connection with people. And themselves. Because the thing about this is when you can't come in and go out, you lose that sense of connection with who you really are. So the main thing that I want people to go away with is what I have spent so much time talking about, which is the medicine of one, which is a different way of relating to yourself and to your emotional pain, so that you liberate yourself, you free yourself, and you love yourself. But sometimes there's these stories inside of us. They're just so deep. So inaccessible by us, no matter how much work we do on our own. But maybe we need help. So, one of the ways that I help people is, it's as if I go in to find this. Maybe they don't tell me a thing. I sit down with them and they don't say a thing to me. I do what I call the soul journey session. Or for want of a better description, I describe it as dreaming for somebody, but it's... And maybe the first thing that comes to me is a sound like, why? Maybe that jumps out of my mouth. Nothing else related to it, just this why? And that particular word and that particular sound in that particular way hits a note, perhaps, inside of that person that echoes back into this story that has kept being repeated over and over and over and over again. So what we're doing is we're entering that story in order to, as if, melt what has been frozen in place, this split. Frozen in this split and frozen on top of the vessel so that nothing can come in and go out. So it sits there in the way. This broken heart's in the way. And part of the story might be you can't trust anybody. You know, don't trust anybody. That's part of the belief. So you got to be in control. I spent some time with a person. And in fact, the broken heart wasn't their issue, but connection was definitely something that was part of what they wanted. And that's, when I sit down to work with somebody, I want to know what they want. What do they want in the circle of themselves? Connection, peace, the sense of their purpose. And then I look at what I'm helping them to do is whatever's in the way or whatever's got that energy frozen up to help move, release, free, liberate it. So that's why I use the word, I help people clear the way. But also to teach them this medicine of one, the sense of the circle of themselves. As I said, sometimes people can't just do it themselves. So my work, when somebody comes to me, is to help them clear the way. And so in one way, I do it through this kind of dreaming that in part has elements of soul retrieval. Because that's the way I look at your soul. It's not something that breaks up into pieces. You lose its energy, which is emotional. It's experiential, your soul. And when you lose so much, you feel like you don't have a soul, like you've lost your soul. So, in this dreaming with this particular woman, the minute I put my hands on her, she was a girl, and her body was stiff, and it was this stiff mad. Stiff mad. That's the first thing that came to me, stiff mad. Now, I didn't ask her anything whatsoever. So it's as if what presents itself is a core place, and as it turned out later, the next day she told me, she oftentimes would wake up in the middle of the night like this. She could feel herself like this all the time. That was her primary reaction to things. So this stiff mad echoes, first of all, into her immediate experience, but all the way back into this childhood, and perhaps even further back. So my putting my hand upon this stiff mad echoes throughout the whole history of her soul. I haven't asked her anything. And somehow, so my intent, because I want her to have that peace, I want her to have that connection, I want that purpose. And another word that came up as we were working was flow. I want her to have this flow. This does not flow. This traps the flow. So it's how do we free this stiff mat? What's holding it together? I don't need to, we didn't talk whatsoever, one iota about her life or her history. I found more and more it's almost better to avoid it unless it's absolutely necessary. I used to spend a lot more time having people gather things and talk about their history, but in this session, it sometimes can give me every little thing I need. That, first of all, there are movements within the session, so there's this stiff mat. And what the stiff mat is about, right? What it says, it's this part of the energy that comes in is never. Never. I'm never going to need anybody else again. I'm never going to want you. So it's this, okay? Because what's inside of that is perhaps the feeling of it was not receiving loving attention as being seen, heard, her existence verified, her worth, no matter what she did. So the stiff mad's going to prove it. And the word prove it came in too. So it's like, prove it, okay? And it's attack. It's an attack. I'll prove it. So there's a drive. So this person has a drive that allows them to succeed and accomplish and drive through barriers. So there's a warrior strength to it. But within the session, there's another never that's hiding way deep down inside. So there's the never, and then there's the never. 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 So there's this powerlessness. So through all these heartbreak stories throughout the history of this soul, there are the feeling of not being loved. And when you're rejected and your heart is broken, it's even stronger. And we don't want to feel that. We don't want to feel that. So again, you have the warrior and the victim. So the session's about hitting these notes, specific words that help with hitting the note. To free that energy. And at times, never having to talk one bit about the history. I may come out into the circle with the person. And I'll just stand there for a minute trying to sense, okay, what needs to happen here? What's gonna do this? And for some reason with this woman, there was no reason whatsoever, neither from her session nor any discussion, except for this stiffness. And for some reason, this don't touch me. So I had her do this stiff, flat hands against the body, screaming at herself to run and squeezing harder. And she started to shake, tremble, and cry right away. So when that happens, it's moving, but the tendency is you want to shut it down. You want to stop it. That's what keeps it there. That's what keeps the lid on it all. So that's why the whole sense of the medicine of one, the circle, is so important, because I'm trying to teach them how to relax around that. So I'm helping them to connect with what they've disconnected from, which was, as the part in us that wants to be in control all the time, it's not likely that it's going to do that. Who wants to be helpless? Who wants to feel powerless? I mean, really feel it. Really feel it. And in that really feeling it, something begins to melt inside that's connected with this whole string of stories. And it doesn't matter whether it looks like a past life, childhood. It simply does not matter. It's about being free of the stories. And in that melting, it comes back together. The feeling of broken is entered and moved. All the brokens that ricochet through all history. And you allow to feel the true brokenness. It then is able to shift, and in the warmth of your own love to yourself, in this allowing it to move, whether it's powerlessness, hate, self-hate. There was self-hate in this too. So I had her curl up in a ball on the ground and scream that never. So it's against the self. And then to move into that never, never. So it's these opposites again. But it's all about engaging the note, the music, the feeling, allowing it to go through your whole body, and then holding the space for yourself through the breath. So what I'm doing is I'm helping people to, I'm finding those things that they need to touch, that perhaps they've done years and years and years of self-work and they haven't been able to get to it because it's in this other realm. And that's why I use to describe my work the shamanic or shaman, because for one thing it's accessing a world that's beyond history. It's not just about spirituality and feeling good. It engages the underworld. For it is in the engagement of the underworld that the upper world can come into you. And you can be here. So when this no longer a lid, and probably that word open would be the biggest single intent for anyone to hold. Because when your mind is open, you receive. When your heart is open, you receive. When your body is open, you are relaxed. Open. Sometimes that word will come in as a sort of open. 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 And just the word, okay, carries the resonance. So it's as if once you've moved what you need to move so that you can arrive where you want in the connection, you bring the sounds and the feelings of that connectedness into that person. So that's also where I end up. But if that's all I'm doing, which is to empower that person so that they, as they move and live through life, are more aware of what they're feeling inside of themselves, that rather than to freeze it up, they're soft to themselves, they're warm, and they heal themselves. So my main intent is for people to go away with that, not to be the one that does it for them. So the people that I work with, they need to be people who can help me help them, who can participate, who will give it all, who want that open peace connection more than anything else, that they won't let their minds get in the way, that they won't stop themselves. And those people, it happens so easily for them, effortlessly. But if it doesn't, then they discover. They discover how stubborn and rigid that even with help, it won't let go. So if you're trying to do it on your own, forget it. It's very clever, that stubbornness in us. Very clever.